Bismillah, alhamdulilah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, this is a video for all those that are struggling in learning the Arabic language. They're struggling in memorizing the Qur'an. They don't know where to begin. They don't know if they should begin. Maybe you've started and you just think it's not for you. Maybe you've reached that stage where you're like, you know what? I need to give up. This is too much for me. Well, inshallah, by the end of this video, bi'idhnillah, watch it until the end. Don't forget, watch until the end, because I'm going to cover certain things that bi'idhnillah ta'ala will change your life, okay? At the end of this video, bi'idhnillah, that's my main goal, to change your life and to make your concept different to how it is if you're from those that see the Arabic language and learning the Qur'an too much. I was once upon a time there, so I'm going to cover and tell you where I began, my story. Okay, and it's not the story. It's not a video, thinking for those that are watching that it's a video where I'm talking about myself, praise myself. No, abadan. It's just I want this video to be a motivational video, an inspiration to all of you. Because wallahi, brothers and sisters, if I managed to memorize the Quran, then why can't you? Why can't you? Okay, I once upon a time was there, and I remember, subhanallah, thinking to myself, nah, it's not for me. I reached the stage of like, you know what? It's not for me. I can't do it. I'm not Arab. I can't do it. Who says in the Quran, where does Allah mention you have to be Arab to memorize the Quran? You have to be Arab to learn the Arabic language. Okay? So to begin with, my journey, how I began, it's actually really funny. Many people don't actually know this, but when I started, after Allah Azza wa Jal guided me and I started practicing the deen of Islam, at the age of 14 roughly, I was in year 9, I remember. It started off with me going to, it was a conference, I remember. Yes, it was a conference. I went to a conference and I saw and I met some brothers and what have you. And from there, and Jazakallah khair, my older brother actually was the one that told me about it. So when I went, I saw many other brothers there. And those brothers, they were older than me in age. And some of them knew Arabic, some of them were fluent, some of them knew a lot of Qur'an. And then I started going to the mosque, the local mosque that where I was located. And I just saw that, I was like, wow, man, these guys are serious, So I thought to myself, I want to also one day be able to memorize the Qur'an, be able to read it, recite the Qur'an properly. So then I started, of course, going to the Arabic institutes that I used to go to. It wasn't Arabic institutes, actually, mainly Qur'an. There was no Arabic, but they call them duksis, for those that know, Somali brothers out there. Okay, so I started going to the Arabic duksis, and I didn't begin in the Somali duksis. I actually began, I think it was a Bengali, it was a Bengali Quran school, madrasa. Okay, so I had musabji for those Bengali brothers. I had a musabji. It was quite funny because I wasn't serious back then. I remember I never really took it seriously. I just used to go there. And I used to just muck around. It was just a place for me to just chill with my friends. So I went there for a couple of years, left it. My mum took me to another place. It was a Pakistani, Quran school. Didn't really like it, the setup and what have you. Wasn't really learning much. I went to a Nigerian one as well. Didn't like it. Wasn't benefiting a lot. It's just too much going on. I just kind of like muck around. And then, subhanAllah, I found the Quran Duksi. From there, when I started there and I, started to be more serious with regards to the deen, I took it more seriously. Now, it's funny because a lot of people don't know this. I didn't start memorizing Quran the way everyone else does. You know how you get the alif, ba, ta, tha, you learn all the Arabic alphabets and then you move on to learn how they're written, how they're joined. Then you learn how to read, and then obviously you learn to memorize the Quran by picking up the Mus'haf and reading. Now, I was different. I wasn't like the majority of the brothers. I actually hated the Arabic language because I saw it was too difficult. I love the Quran and what have you. I love to memorize, but in terms of picking up that Arabic book and learning it, bro, when I tell you, Ikhwani, brothers and sisters, it was too much for me. It was too much for me. I couldn't handle it. For me, I saw it was, okay, that's not my league. That's just, step too far, Abdullah. Stay in your zone, stay in your lane. And it went on. So the actual first juz, okay, juz amma, as we all know, I learned and memorized all of it by memory. Okay, I used to listen. I used to have headphones. I remember back in those days, I used to have MP3 headphones, and I started just listening to the reciters. Mahir Mu'aqili, for those that know, Sheikh Mahir, he was my reciter. I loved him. So I used to listen to him a lot, and through that and the Arabic transliteration, which is, you've got the alhamdulilah rabbil alameen, and it's written in English. All of you know these. So I had that. That's what I had. The Arabic side of the Quran when it's written all in Arabic, I never used to look at that. It was too much for me. I couldn't do it. And I didn't really have an institute, or I didn't have a class or people that I knew that can teach me Arabic. And I just saw it as too difficult. So that's when my journey really started. It started with the Quran. So I went on for the whole Juz Amma, and subhanAllah, by the fadl of Allah Azza wa Jalla, Allah's made it so easy for me. I managed to memorize Juz Amma within maybe like a couple of months. It didn't even take a year. It was very, very short. From when I was serious, I did it a couple of months, and that's it. Now check this, everyone. When I did that, when I went to Juz Tabarak, my Qur'an teacher, my Muallim, Adam, Hafidhullah, may Allah preserve him, he said to me, Abdullah, you now need to start reading the Qur'an. You have to start reading the Qur'an. You can't learn the whole Qur'an by just the way you're doing it, through the English way and memorizing. This is not good enough. And I was like, listen, Muallim, but you know my case. You know that I can't read Arabic like everyone. Because by the way, bearing in mind, everyone in that madrasa, they were able to read the Qur'an except for me. Brothers younger than me, remember, I wasn't able to do it. And I was like, Muallim, you know my case, but you know my situation. I cannot pronounce the Arabic letters. I can't pronounce it. And by the way, when I was learning the Arabic, when I was memorizing, the Qur'an, I had a lot of mistakes. So my ayn will be alif, my alif will be ayn, my qaf will be kaf, and my kaf will be qaf, and so on and so forth. So those, for all of you guys struggling, listen to this and look, bear this in mind. If I was able to do it, if I was able to struggle and get to the stage where alhamdulilah rabbil alameen, I memorized the entire Qur'an, why can't you? What's the difference between me and you? There is no difference. It's just that alhamdulillah, after the tawfiq of Allah Azza wa Jal, I was motivated enough to carry on the journey until I completed the Qur'an. Now, when I said it to him, I said to my teacher, but Muallim, you know my situation. I can't do this. It's beyond imagination, let alone you telling me to. Come on, I was like, come on, are you serious? So he's like, Abdullah, you're going to do it. And he was serious. He was dead on serious. Like, Abdullah, you're going to do it. So I remember we had a break, summer holidays, whatever. I went back. When I went back to the Duxi, he came in, and I remember he was there before us, obviously, as usual. Very, very serious guy, mashallah, tabarakallah. So I had my Arabic, my Qur'an, just tabarak ready, but it was the English version. Okay. So it was the English transliteration. So that literally, that book that I had for Juz Amma, it was the same one I bought, and I just bought, I remember, I think $5.99 or something like that. And I bought it, the Arabic version of the Qur'an. So it was literally written. So I remember, so everything was written in English. So for me, it was easy. It was the same thing as the one I did. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this even quicker, inshallah. I had a goal. I was like, you know what, I did the first one in a couple of months. This one I'm going to do even quicker. So I literally went and I walked into school. What did he do when I reached? As soon as I went in school, what did he do? He took the Qur'an off me. He took it off me. Brothers and sisters, I was like, what are you doing? I was like, teacher, how am I supposed to memorize the Qur'an? I'm now on Surah Al-Mursalat. How am I supposed to do this? It's impossible. He took it off me. He's like, Abdullah, remember I said to you before the semester ended? I was like, yeah, of course I remember, but, hello, I think you were dreaming because I can't do it. He goes to me, right now, that Qur'an is mine. I'm going to keep it here. And I'm going to show it to you when you're able to learn the Qur'an. And you're going to say to me, wow, thank you, teacher. And that was his exact word. He said to me, you're going to do it. Bearing in mind, his English was very, very limited. He wasn't fluent in the English language, but he was someone that was serious, and he loved me for the sake of Allah. Because if he didn't love me for the sake of Allah, he wouldn't be there to give me that advice. And that was the turning point. That was literally the edge for me that made me make that jump. I didn't want to make that jump. I didn't want to make that leap, because it wasn't because of the fact that I couldn't do it physically. It's because I was scared. That's what it was. I was scared to fail. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to be in the class where I'm 14, 15 years old and everyone in the class is there. And I had some 7-year-olds, mashallah. He was on, just qad sami'a and what have you. He'd gone by me. There's a little 7-year-old there. I didn't want to carry on being on Juz Amma and, not being able to memorize just Tabarak. And for me, it was a race. I actually wanted to compete with some of the guys in the class. That's how I saw it. I never told some of them, but I was actually there competing. So I thought to myself, if I try to now start learning, the Arabic language and the huruf and how to join them properly, it's going to slow me down. And I hated being from those that are, doing something slowly. Because I was a very young guy, very, very active, athletic person. And I was sporty. And I'm a very competitive person. That's how I am. Okay. So with regards to this now, I didn't want it slowing me down. And I knew that if I did listen to him, it would slow me down. So that's what it was. And he knew that I had the potential. So he saw the potential in me. And Jazallah khair, may Allah Azza wa Jalla reward him. And because of him, I listened to him eventually. I had to back down. I was like, you know what? He's my teacher. I can't disrespect him. Let me just try. Let me do it. So that's where it started, Ikhwan. I was only like 14, 15 years old. I had no experience, you know, I did not like as if, you know, I went abroad and, you know, went some, no, this is how it started. London, Northwest London, that's where it started. There's no, I didn't go to a Jamia to memorize the Qur'an or anything like that. My life in terms of the university, Islamic university, came way after, alhamdulillah. So now, fast forwarding, time went on and I actually was able to pick up, learn the Arabic words, how to join them, the huruf, what the different harakat are, the vowels and what have you. You know, I learned how to read slowly. It wasn't strong, but it was a long, I'm not going to say it was a quick journey. It was a very long, dedicated journey, because I was dedicated and I put my head down and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this today. And I'm going to make it because of the fact that Muallim Ahmed motivated me on that day. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Time went on. And those that did know me in the Duksi knew that I actually did try my best to be from the best students, only because of the fact that I thought that if everyone else is doing it, why can't I? Now that was my journey in terms of memorizing the Qur'an. And I actually, alhamdulillah, after the fadl of Allah Azza wa Jal, I mean, there's bits I'm going to miss out just because I want to get straight into the main thing of why I'm trying to motivate you all. Actually, you know what? Let me not miss it out. I remember, and some of those brothers that used to attend that, obviously, eventually that place got shut down, whatever, it got closed down. I eventually moved into a house. I went there, and then eventually that stopped as well. Just before I went to the Jamia Islamiyah, before I got accepted, I think I was roughly, how old was I? I think I just turned 18. Yeah, I just turned 18 years old, and I got accepted. Going back now, before I got accepted, I think I was at the age, so bearing in mind all this time, okay, before I went to Jamia Islamiyah, I knew no Arabic whatsoever. But I remember when I was, I think in year 10, in the summer holidays, I went to Egypt, okay? So I went to Egypt. I didn't go to Al-Ibana or Furqan. I didn't go to any of those institutes, okay? I knew some Qur'an. It wasn't a great deal, but alhamdulillah, it was something, a couple of ajza. And I started learning Arabic there, okay? A guy used to come to the house, teaching me Arabic. I used to go out in the market, go to the shops, and I just used to use what I had. Okay, what I had in my pockets with regards to the Arabic language, I used it. Now, that's one of the things that, alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me, that I wasn't shy to use the little that I had once I started. When I was there in Egypt, beautiful experience, ikhwan. I'm not going to go into it, that's not the main thing, brothers and sisters, but it's something that it did help me. I did manage to pick up something, and then I came back, concentrated on my GCSEs. Arabic went out of the window. I remember I had the book, I don't know where it is now, somewhere in my mom's house, and because I didn't practice it, it didn't go beyond that which was in Egypt. So I knew nothing. So at that stage, I still had my Qur'an teacher, Muallim Yusuf, may Allah reward him, very, very good teacher, and he knew different qira'at, and he was very good. He was subhanAllah, may Allah Azza wa Jalla reward him. I remember, I think I was on, what surah was I on? I think I was on Surah Al-Ankabut, if I'm not mistaken. Roughly around there. Surah Al-Ankabut, I was like maybe 16 years old, and he, subhanAllah, he doesn't know this obviously, yeah, but look at what someone can do to you, that goes a long way. I remember I was there in the Qur'an class and I was reading to him, and he's someone where he loves perfection, okay? He wants me to be the perfect student. So I would go and I'll read to him. I remember I started reading to him some ayat, and I started making mistakes. So with him, you read to him, but he doesn't want a single mistake. If you make 3 mistakes, that's it. You don't know the surah. It's not good enough for him. So he would send me back. And I remember I stayed on that surah for, quite some time. The mistakes wasn't memory. It wasn't because my memory was weak and I was forgetting what to say. The mistakes was the makharij al-huruf. My makharij al-huruf were not on point. My makharij al-huruf, that which, you need when you're reciting the Arabic language, when you're reciting the Qur'an of Allah Azza wa Jal, and you're pronouncing the Arabic letters, it needs to be on point. So my ones were completely off. They were just not there. Okay? Like I said to you, I still had the problem. But why? Because of the fact that when I started, so the journey I had in the beginning, it was not correct. So therefore, when Adam tried to correct and fix the mistakes, some of them were still like they were grounded in me. So I was living a life of reading the Qur'an, but upon mistakes. So I would recite the Ain as a Alif, and the Alif as a Ain, and the Qaf as a Kaf, and what have you, so on and so forth. The Sad will be like a Sin, and the Sin will be like a Sad. So it was, but the main one was the Ain and the Alif. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have that, okay? And also the Qaf will be a Kaf. So this was the big issue. So he said to me, he said, Abdullah, come, because he saw me, like he returned me back like 5 times. I went back, and he's there until the end of the lesson. I think it was like 2-hour lesson. So I will read, go over it. I remember I go over it and I'll go to him, send me back, go over it, go in my corner, go back. And he saw me that I was disheartened. So he said to me, Abdullah, come here. Said to me, come here, Abdullah. So he called me over. I went to him. It's like, yes, Ma'alim. Said to me, look, Abdullah, this Qur'an is something great, okay? And you have the capability to memorize the whole Qur'an. But I want you to be perfect. I want you, when you read the Qur'an, to not make a single mistake when you're reciting. The makharij al-huruf, I want them to be a point. That's why I'm sending you back. If I didn't care, I would just let you go on. Okay, and make you go to the next surah. I said, I want you to be perfect. And he said, don't ever, ever tell yourself that this Qur'an is not for you. Don't ever say that. As Allah mentions in the Qur'an, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. We have made the Qur'an easy. So are there those that would what? Would take heed and start learning and memorizing the Qur'an. I remember he said it to me like this. He said, don't think the Qur'an is difficult. Look how much you've reached. Okay? You don't have much long left. You can memorize the Qur'an and finish it. But I want you to have perfection. Don't ever, and he said it to me again. He said, don't ever say it's not for you. So brothers and sisters, don't ever say that this is not for you. Learning the Qur'an, learning the Arabic language. You can do it. And mashallah, tabarakallah, he was fluent in the Arabic language. At that point, I wasn't fluent. So it did dishearten me, but those little statements he said, I saw myself on the top of Mount Everest, subhanAllah. That's where I thought I was at the time. Because it's like I'm thinking to myself, subhanAllah, no one has ever said it to me. Like, no one's ever seen such potential in me the way he's saying it. It's like he can see that which I have of capability and potential. And he brought it out of me. It's like he just, boom, put it right there in front of me. Abdullah, this is you. You can be this person. Don't ever look down upon yourself. Don't ever think low of yourself. You can do it. And from that day on, subhanAllah, brothers and sisters, from that day on, I tell you, honestly, I didn't look back. I did not look back. Those people that disheartened me, discouraged me, put me down, whatever, maybe look twice at me because of the fact that I'm not fluent in Arabic language, it didn't put me down. I just carried on. And alhamdulillah, when I got accepted into Medina Munawwara, and this once again, ikhwan, I'm just reminding you, I just want to motivate you. That's why I'm saying this to you, because I don't really share my story like that. It's more of a personal story, me memorizing the Qur'an. But I thought to myself, you know what? Why don't I just share it? لَعَلَّ اللَّهَ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ يَفْتَحْ عَلَيْكُمْ. يعني maybe Allah Azza wa Jal opened a door for one of you guys, and it could be a means of motivation that makes you pick up that book and memorize it. So I went to Medina, I remember, before I went out on the flight, subhanAllah, I remember it like yesterday. Even me going to Medina, that's a whole another story for another day, how I got accepted. Because even that was something that, out of this world. It wasn't the normal way that people get accepted. Anyway, so I remember I was 18, I had a job, I was working, alhamdulillah, and I got accepted. I thought, you know what, this is my chance to go and complete this journey that I started. Let's say, put it that way. I wanted to complete this journey. Because I thought to myself, you know what? Inshallah, I can be able to memorize the Qur'an and also complete the Arabic language. Now, brothers, from that journey a couple of years back to then, at the age of 18, and I just turned 18, I remember, because I went in September, I think I went end of September, October. Yeah, I went the end of September. I went the 19th of September, if I'm not mistaken, 2012. That's when I went. So, at that moment, ikhwani wa akhawati, yeah, I was on Surah Al-Taha, okay? I was on Surah Al-Taha. So you can see it more or less. I had completed half of the Qur'an. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. So when I went to Medina, I had only a little bit left and I completed it. And that journey in itself is another experience, because I had another beautiful, amazing, beautiful character of a teacher, Ustad Sheikh Abu Muhammad Zallah Khair. And he was another reason for me to even complete the journey and carry on. And he really inspired me. you know, because when I went there to Medina and stuff, I was struggling to find a teacher. Eventually I found him, and he gave me a lot of time. He didn't just teach me Qur'an, he taught me how to be with the Qur'an. He taught me how to make it strong. He taught me how to live a life of the Qur'an, people of the Qur'an, because I see him نحسبه كذلك, as someone from the, you know, you can say that's literally how one would want to be, the way he is. And I've seen him in his local masjid, how he is in terms of the Qur'an, and how he preserves it, how he goes over it. And it's, you know, when you see something in front of you, it's different to when someone tells you. That's just two different things, you know. So he also motivated me. Now, when it started, I went to Medina University. I went, of course, in Arabic Institute. I didn't know no Arabic. I didn't know any Arabic at all. I didn't know how to read, didn't know how to write. I just knew the Arabic alphabet. I remember I knew the Arabic alphabet because Ma'alim Ahmed and what have you, they taught me. So I knew the Arabic alphabet. That was about it. But in terms of speaking, zero. I knew Kef Halak. I knew Ismi Abdullah. That's about it. I think that's what I knew. That's what I knew. I knew Kef Halak, and that's it. And I knew Bushrak Labes because I learned from some Algerian guys, and I knew that's it. I think that's all I knew. These kind of 3 words, that's it. Or even if that, okay? So I went to the Arabic Institute for 2 years, but I didn't stay there for 2 years, Ikhwani. I stayed there for longer on purpose because I wanted to make my Arabic, I wanted to be fluent in the Arabic language. I didn't just want to have the Arabic language, I wanted to be fluent. I didn't want to sound like a foreigner. That was my goal when I went there. And that's why I'm making this video, because I learned the Arabic language, alhamdulillah, and I went on to learning the Arabic, the Ajrumiyya and Nahwu and Sarf, and I went deep into it, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, after the fadl of Allah Azza wa Jal. And you know, I was able to also benefit from the scholars out there, and I went from 0 to being able, I'm not going to say 100 because no one's 100, a'udhu billah, but I went from 0 to something. I went from nothing to something, put it that way, okay? Now, why can't you? Tell me, ask yourself. Brothers and sisters, you're listening to this, right? Why can't you? What's the reason? What's stopping you? Is it being scared? Well, I was scared. I'm not now. Okay, I was scared once upon a time. I did see it as a big step. Okay, but I'm not anymore. Okay, is it time? I didn't have time. Okay, I remember when I was studying at the time, subhanAllah, I had children. And I had a wife and children. I still managed to do it after the fadl of Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, don't give me any excuses. Don't say to me, I've got a family, I've got kids. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I've got children now, okay? I mean, don't say to me you can't. It's not the fact that you can't, it's you making time, because you make time for other things, okay? We have so much time on our hands. It's about how much do you want to achieve and accomplish that which you want. That's what it goes back down to, brothers and sisters. I mean, if you put time and invest into this, I came from nothing, a boy from Housden, NW10, okay? And for those that know Housden and know Housden, okay, if you want to compare it to another place, you can. There are places in my head. I'll let you guys be the people that do that. But I mean, I came from Housden, okay? Normal guy that used to go to school, knew nothing of the Arabic language, knew nothing of the deen. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Everything, I praise Allah Azza wa Jal for choosing me and selecting me and enabling me to be able to embark on this journey and be able to see that I came from nothing. I knew no Arabic language. I didn't come from brothers that went to Egypt for 3 years and then eventually got accepted into the Jamia. No, nothing. Qur'an, I came from nothing. Nothing, literally nothing. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I'm now able to pick up the Qur'an from anywhere I want. That should be the main thing that you learn the Arabic language for. To understand the deen, and also you pick up that book and that's it. And by the way, I didn't mention this earlier. Another reason why I wanted to learn Arabic and not just Qur'an, because Qur'an is one thing, right? Okay, and it did help me. But I was sick and tired of listening to translators, listening to people translate for me. You know, it's like I want to listen to that sheikh, and I had a love for scholars, okay? Because I like to take the source from the main thing. I don't like to, you know, I don't like people to be, I don't like no intermediates between me and that main thing. I want to have that relationship between me and Allah Azza wa Jal. And the best way, of course, is picking up that book and reading it, going to the ulama, ringing them up and what have you. I had the love for this deen, and I wanted to just be able to do it by myself with my own tools. So I thought to myself, the only way to do that is by learning the Arabic language. Now, bearing in mind, many things happen and occur within our day-to-day lives. You hear certain things happen, or that has happened, or this or that, or someone said this about the deen, but you don't even know what they're talking about because you don't have the tools. Now, the Arabic language is the wasila. It's literally see it as the tools for you being able to pick up that book and just being able to read it. Subhanallah, قال المصنف رحمه الله في كتابه قال, and you're going to be able to just fluent. You know, you're going to be able to just pick up that book and learn. Don't you want to reach that? I remember, wallahi, I remember the stage I said to myself, and I said it to some of the brothers, like, you know what? Wallah, I'm tired of listening to translators, man. Like, I'm tired of listening to talks in English. I wanna listen to talks in Arabic. I remember I had Kitab al-Tawheed book. I remember, subhanAllah, I was in the masjid and I was going to lessons Kitab al-Tawheed, and I was like, man, I wish I can just learn the Arabic. I wish I can just read the Arabic book. I had that, you know, you don't just, I want to just learn the Arabic language, pick up that book and just do it. Well, wallahi, wa billahi wa tallahi, when I tell you there's a big difference. It's like mountains, okay, in terms of difference between picking up a book in English and reading it and picking up a book in Arabic. Wallahi, there's a big difference, brothers and sisters. The only way you're going to be able to perfect and understand the deen of Islam, the way Allah Azza wa Jalla wants you to understand it, and the way the Prophet ﷺ wants you to understand it, and the way the companions understood it, is by learning the Arabic language. There is no better way, because when you learn the Arabic language, you're going to be able to learn and understand what is mentioned in the Qur'an. When you read the ayat, you know, many of us read the Qur'an, we pray tarawih behind the Imam, we don't feel anything, we're not moved, we're not touched, because the understanding is not there. See, when you have the Arabic language, you're able to understand what the Imam is reciting. You're able to understand what Allah is saying. It's like there's like a connection there, okay? Some people do get emotional without knowing the Arabic language. Let alone, let's say you knew the Arabic language, you knew what was meant. Now, brothers, don't you feel ashamed? 20 years, 15, 20, 30, 40 years of your life, you don't know the Arabic language? It's it's shameful. It's not something that I'm putting you down, but I'm telling you the reality. It's shameful. You've put so many years in so many other things. You've invested in so many businesses, in so many plans, in so many interests that you have in your life. But how much have you invested in the Qur'an? How much have you invested in Arabic language? Because if you have the miftah, that door is there. You know the door. There's a door between all of us and the deen. I feel like there's a door, not a barrier, a door, an actual door. Now, the key to opening that door and literally being able to have mountains of knowledge and understandings and connection between you and your Lord, and loving that which you do and understanding why you're supposed to do it, the key to opening that door is the Arabic language. So ask yourself, are you ready to learn the Arabic language? Because if you are, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, I, Abdullah ibn Khamis, I'm going to set up a new Arabic institute for all of those that have different levels. It doesn't matter what level you are, whether you're getting there in terms of fluency, whether you're in the middle, you somewhat can pick up a conversation, whether you can just say the basics, kif halak and salam alaikum, or whether you have zero in the Arabic language. Inshallah, that specific level that you're at, you're gonna see, I'm gonna turn it from zero, from nothing to where I was to something. Okay? And not just that, but it's gonna be so good, and you're not going to want to look elsewhere with regards to courses. Because wallahi, I've seen so many courses out there, okay? So many people have told me as well, why don't you start Arabic? Why don't you start teaching? It's not because I didn't want to, but I just want to do something to the best of my capability. And I thought to myself, you know what? Enough research, enough preparation. Let's put it out there. Let's get that course out to people. Because at the end of the day, I want you to be able to be where I reached with regards to being able to look at the book. And alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, I pick up the Qur'an today and I'm able to read any page I want to. I pick up the Qur'an and I'm able to read. Don't you want to be like that? Where you're able to go and pray behind an imam somewhere and you say Allahu Akbar, he makes a mistake, and you're able to correct him because you're able to understand that he's made a mistake. Many people pray behind the imam and just they don't know anything. Don't you want to be able to reach a stage where you're able to pick up a phone, you have a certain matter, family issue, okay, concern, and you want to ask a scholar. You pick up that phone and say, Salaam alaikum shaykh, and kif halakum sakin khair, and you're able to speak to that shaykh and you ask him directly. You're able to, put out that which you want with regards to a question. Some people don't even know how to ask a question. Some people, they don't even know how to read. You want to be able to read books. Well, the best books are the books in Arabic. And that's why the Arabic language, I see it as it's something that's mandatory upon each and every one of us. We have to be able to learn the Arabic language. Why not just that? But we have to teach our children. So inshallah, we're going to start slowly. We're going to put out the course to all of you. And inshallah, we're going to have not just the course, but we're going to have also some other stuff that's going to be out there. I'm not going to say it now. I don't want to ruin it. And even for children, we're going to make courses for them. But not just that. I'm not just trying to be here to sell something to you. No, it's not about that. It's about the fact that my journey, I started off as nothing. Honestly, and I didn't, not in a million years did I think I'll be able to actually teach the Arabic language. I'll be able to actually speak the Arabic language. I'll be able to actually understand the Arabic language. So I believe that if you watch this video from the beginning to the end, you're going to see how I started. And alhamdulilah rabbil alameen, I managed to speak the Arabic language, and I'm able to speak the Arabic language. And not just that, but I'm able also to read it, to understand it, to teach it now. Don't you want to be like that? Don't you want to be able to just understand your deen? You don't have to teach. Not everyone wants to be a teacher, okay? But don't you want to be able to just understand your religion? In order to understand the basics of it, is by what? By understanding the Arabic language. And inshallah, we'll give you points and advices as well on how to memorize the Quran, because also that's another journey and experience in itself as well. But guess what? Nothing's going to happen until you actually make that first move. I made the first move, and alhamdulillah, wallahi, I don't regret it. I'm here to help you make the first move. So ask yourself, are you ready? Because if you are, from literally, just me speaking to you as a brother to brother, okay, or as a brother to another Muslim, another fellow Muslim sister or brother, I'm here to help you make the first move. You can do it. Don't you want to be able to speak the Arabic language? And think about it. Wallahi, we live in a day and age today, it's very scary. The next future generation, a lot of them don't even have any sort of identity towards Islam. Now, how can we preserve that? By the Arabic language. The Arabic language, it preserves your identity, okay, as a Muslim, because the Qur'an was revealed in the Arabic language, okay? The lisan of the Prophet ﷺ was in the Arabic language. In order for you to understand certain teachings, certain things that happen, the history, seerah and what have you, if you have the Arabic language and you read the book and you go back to the scholars when you don't understand, wallahi, it's going to be different. So now, look at the children. You have children, right? Why is it that you can't teach them how to read Fatiha? Why are you having to send them to Arabic institutes, to Qur'an classes? Why can't you learn something and also teach your children? Learn together as well. Now, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, the institute is coming out soon. So keep an eye out on my YouTube channel and on my Instagram. And inshallah, I'll be posting this video up there so you can keep an eye out and keep in contact with us. And once again, I'm just here to help you make that first move. The rest is up to you, okay? Don't give any excuses. Don't say anything. The rest is up to you. How you keep up with that journey, because some people do begin. But I don't want you just to be a beginner. I want you to be someone that completes the course and benefits from it.
والله أستعين في كل عمل إليه قصدي وعليه المتكل إن الكلام عندنا فلتستمع لفظ مركب مفيد قد وضع